Welcome everyone to the Backyard Basketball Podcast, presented by the Ordinary Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Christian Steck, and I'm brought to you every week as the one and only BDC, Braden Dallard Coltman. How you doing, my friend?
Good. Every week, with or without COVID. I have COVID right now, but that will not stop us from recording our podcast.
How are you feeling today? Are you feeling like you're maybe getting close to over the hill of this COVID battle, or?
I am certainly on the up and up. I'm back in warm-ups or back in workouts. I'm coming off that IR very, very quickly.
Our poor friend has gotten COVID the second time since this crazy pandemic that we've all been through.
It's out there.
It is. Well, somehow fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know, haven't come into contact with this beast yet. But I'm ready. I got my fists up. But we're not here to lament about COVID. We're here to
no. There's other issues in the world.
Lament about other issues like basketball. And you would think, oh, hey, Chris, in basketball, like we talk about, shooting hoops and counting points and getting W's, and not about Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie Irving.
That's a fucked up situation, hey?
But the first thing, can I just say, is I've heard some people talk. I listened to a pod recently with Raja Bell, who was on team with Steve Nash. Anyone who knows this week, Steve Nash was let go, mutual parting of ways from the Brooklyn Nets as head coach. And, Raja, who used to play with Steve, on Phoenix, and feels like, they've got a good relationship. They're good friends. And he said he just saw that Steve just didn't look happy towards the end of this. He just exhausted.
Yeah, it's a gong show. This is a circus. All the things that happened, take it back all the way to last season. This team was without Kyrie Irving for the first long while, and then they traded for James Harden, and then they ended up with Ben Simmons, and then they didn't make it very far into the playoffs, and then in the offseason, KD wants out, and now we've got this absolute heinous commentary out of Kyrie Irving, as well as a terribly dismal start to the season, which led to Steve Nash, their coach, being fired. I don't know how things could be any worse for the Brooklyn Nets. This is just a bad situation. As for Steve Nash, yeah, it's super unfortunate that he's no longer at the helm there, but probably for the better. I mean, it's funny they asked KD, what do you think? What led to this? It's we're just not playing well. Steve Nash is going to be a coach again in the NBA, I think, and it just didn't work out in that situation. As for the rest of the ordeal, if the situation continues, KD's he's going to be putting the pressure down once again on get me the hell out of here, and they're going to be left with Kyrie, who likely and should be suspended from the NBA for his anti-Semitic comments on Twitter.
Now that's actually a really interesting conversation. I'd love to get into here in a little bit about, KD being gone and Kyrie still being on that team, maybe by the trade deadline here. But, to backtrack a bit, first off, 100%, and everything that you just said, it's crazy. This team has been nothing short of commentary of this roller coaster. And it got me thinking way back when, this first started in 2019, when the team came together, the Raptors won the championship. And I'm thinking the parallels of two things that happened in the league that offseason with Kyrie and Kevin Durant going to Brooklyn, and the formation of, that Clippers team with Paul George and Kawhi, and how these last 4 years, initially when that first happened, we had all these expectations, just this feeling and this pulse of this new phase we were going to maybe be entering into the NBA landscape. the Golden State Warriors just lost in the finals. Maybe this was going to be the birth of something new. And both these respective teams, and how we could have even forethought the layout of these seasons playing out the way that they did. And obviously for different circumstances for either two team, but we're talking about Brooklyn, and with Brooklyn, it's just been, again, I heard a great perspective in the sense of, if you're in the position where you're working in the front office and having to deal with this constant extraneous, work that you have to do the day on the day to day, on top of all of your responsibilities as just being a basketball player, being a head coach, being a general manager, being whatever your relationship is with the team, you have all of your day-to-day responsibilities, but on top of it, it's like every other week you've got, if it's situations, Ben Simmons playing, Ben Simmons not playing, James Harden unhappy. He wants to come to the team, and then he's unhappy. He wants to leave the team.
Yeah.
All the various things that Kyrie Irving has said or done. And it's like, every day it's like media is going to ask you about this, this, and this. So you, Steve Nash, you have to be prepared. Kyrie Irving did this over the weekend. So coming into Monday, you're going to have the media asking you all these things, and you have to answer this. We're going to nip this in the butt. Like all of this stuff that you have to juggle in your mind on top of like all this other stress and responsibility. Like, you haven't started off this season great, being like 2-6 now. Your only 2 wins, I think, were against the Raptors, which was a good win, and the Pacers. But it's like, that's exhausting. Like,
it's exhausting and it's so distracting, man. Like the fact that the league stands up for, hatred and racism. Think about back when George Floyd was murdered, like what the league did to stand into that. And now you've got somebody who has already a history of making dumbass comments, the earth is flat or this or whatever. Now he's making actually like hatred come out of his mouth. It's like there has to be much more that happens here. And so for the Nets themselves, like as an organization, this is not where you want to be. You're trying to prove that this super team could work, and you're in the fucking mud again. So.
And obviously, this is a clear example too that grass isn't always greener on the other side. That these expectations are just going to like play out that the way that maybe you initially anticipate. Leaving a situation, whether you want to perceive it to be good or bad. I'm looking at Kevin Durant's perspective, but the other thing to point out too, and I just was reminded of this recently. Myers Leonard, when he was on Miami, and I would watch him on Twitch, like streaming. He played a lot of like COD or whatever kind of games, but he made an anti-Semitic comment while he was playing a video game on Twitch. He was suspended from the team. He was fined, and he had to participate in active courses to become better educated, which he did all of those things. Now, I mean, I don't think he's playing in the NBA anymore, and who's to say that maybe that was the nail in the coffin for him in his situation, like whatever. I mean, but he did do the dues to rectify an honest, like a fault that he made.
Cost.
And he took accountability, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And here, what? It was Kyrie's donated $500K to an organization against those kinds of comments. And that's it? But he hasn't apologized?
He posted a statement today that was supposed to be an apologetic statement. But if you really read at what he said today, he didn't take like a genuine level of accountability to say like in black and white, like I apologize for posting that. And then, whatever, to say like, I was honestly in the wrong, I wasn't fully educated on what that documentary was about, or this is my perspective. Like he made some comment about his perspective on documentaries, not necessarily being truthful. However you want to take it.
Same with vaccines, same with the earth being flat. Like I believe in what you want to believe in, but when it's that fucking dumb, and not only dumb, but like,
there's double standards
and aggressive and full of hate. Come on,
there's double standards here. Where even that, I forget the individual's name on Monday in the interview when he was talking with the media, and he got really aggressive with one of the the reporters. And he was asking them genuine questions where I felt like from my perspective he's like trying to get some clarity as to why he posted that. And there was
Right.
just this absolute defiance and not wanting to acknowledge the media at all coming from Kyrie, which it was just like it's these double standards where I have to have it my way. I can't. And you know what? Actually, I would really love to get your perspective on this too. I don't have another example. I was thinking about this on my drive home today. But when I was looking at this, and I feel like I've seen some semblances of this in sports with social media today, and when something happens, another example I guess would be Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole,
Yeah.
and there was
Yeah.
that video that Draymond posted where he was like very self-aggrandizing, and that's how I perceived it to be, how I felt, where he talked about this being like look at it this way. This is, everyone see your lowest moment. It's only upside from here. And, I had to look at what, and then I had to look at why. And he never explains these reasons. And it's like this very poeticized video to, uplift, rise from the ashes from this dark moment, whatever. And it was like, it makes me think, do all athletes across the board, or have there been other instances, I'm just not thinking of this, when you have been in the wrong, there has been a fault, and to go publicly and take 100% full accountability for it. Look, I fucked up, I made a mistake, I'm a human being, I'm going to learn from this, I'm going to follow the steps, I'm genuine in this. You can
Yeah.
even follow up a couple weeks down the road and see the work that I'm doing,
Yeah.
and just take full accountability for it. And then however the media wants to take it, take it. But I feel like some of these athletes think that if I take full accountability for something, then the media is going to use it against me. And so there's like this defense that all these people in these positions, even when they've screwed up, that they have to navigate it a certain way to maintain some sort of like status or structure in their world,
Yeah.
where, you may have an individual such as Kanye West who like isn't playing by any rule whatsoever and just saying what he wants to say, throwing it out in the open. And he made a comment recently saying he lost $2 billion in one day. So he literally like lit, everything around his life just on fire, watched it burn, reckless abandon. And then now he's obviously gonna have to pay the consequence because he's not getting that money. But some of these other athletes are like more conscientious of like, well, if I say this or do this or take full accountability for whatever act that happened, then maybe that's going to fuck up this money that I'm getting, or this opportunity, or whatever this is.
Yeah. And that's so fucked up. That's so messed up that it becomes about that kind of power, or holding on to a status, or holding on to, especially when it's something that's so wrong. Yeah, you touched on a lot of really important points there about taking accountability, apologizing. Nobody's going to say it's okay, because it's not okay. But you took the step of taking accountability, and that's enough for you to be able to continue on without that kind of thought or that kind of comment coming out from you, right? Like, quite frankly, yeah, Kyrie said I didn't mean to harm anyone. Well, that, like you said, is just a defense. That's just so. Where's the apology there? I don't want to see this guy in the league anymore. I'm quite fed up with this. Like, Kyrie is not what the NBA or any other sport should be promoting as an athlete that represents that organization.
I heard someone say that Kyrie would have been better off playing tennis. Nothing to do with the league whatsoever, but because if you play solo tennis, it's a solo sport. He is very Kyrie. I've heard so many different individuals say this. I myself also hold this personal opinion. I have Kyrie Irving shoes. I was elated when Kyrie Irving joined Boston. I
Yeah,
love.
he was a good
I,
player before he
I,
started
I,
spewing his mouth.
and I do the way how he plays as a basketball player is absolute magic to watch if you just looked at that objectively. But I agree with you. All this stuff that's compounding, it is so exhausting to try to be a part of this individual's world and at the same time feel like, from his perspective, I'm less than. Like, I'm not as intelligent as him. I'm not as like enlightened. Maybe not intelligence. Maybe it's more this enlightenment that, I can't see the world in the way that he sees it. And because of it, I'm so backwards that I just need to be, quiet about my opinions, especially when it comes towards him. And I just feel like it's not fair. This goes two ways. If I want to spew a lot of opinions and ideas out into the world, I also need to take other people's opinions about me. And I need to, as much as some of those things may be, hurtful or misconstrued or whatever, not trying to say like, have people just say shit about you, but I need to have at least an open perspective to learn and grow myself personally. Like when I'm in the wrong, like when I do or say something, and that's, something I'm so grateful to have your friendship that you can say, call me out on that. And that I can like really try to, in that moment, may I be all upset and pissy or whatever it is. But then even if I have a moment alone to reflect on that and then try to learn from that to be a better person, and we all can hold ourselves up to like a higher standard to try and be better people, to be like genuinely empathetic and listening, instead of using that as some sort of slogan to gain like some level of clout that I feel like is kind of attractive in society a little bit, today. For that, I feel like Kyrie kind of espouses that type of perspective, that, if I am the enlightened type, if I'm the prophet that Kanye also likes to say, then that is like, more of the enlightened way of life. And that I shouldn't listen to, politicians or teachers or other people that may be, inspire me, because they're just not on that level, which is just such
Yeah,
bullshit.
I mean, I'm all for people having their own opinions and ideas of things, but when
So
it comes to harming other people or a group of people, a race of people, um, anyone or anything, I think that there's no room for that, especially in sport, which tries to be a role model for
inclusivity.
society and yet for young people. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Totally.
All right, fuck Kyrie. Enough of that.
Enough of the Nets. To look at a greater whole for the team, oh, we can use this bit of a transition. I quickly, it kind of frustrated me too when I saw all of the news first breaking about, they're going to hire Ime Udoka. They're going to hire Ime Udoka. And
Oh God.
the first thing in my head was like, okay, two things. One, objectively as a coach, removing the baggage, objectively as a coach, he probably maybe wouldn't gel with Kyrie, but he'd be a good fit and structure for the team.
Well, he was an assistant coach in Brooklyn before. He's worked with lots of players.
With KD, he's got relationships.
Two, isn't he fucking suspended?
Yes. And
what the hell?
And it was an improper relationship, and it was internal, and they're keeping it very private, which means that this is a very sensitive thing that we shouldn't take lightly. That 2 months in, like he's totally Ime Udoka has served his time. Like let's have him have private conversations with Brooklyn to be there next season. Like this is just, I don't know. It's so silly, and it's like not a good direction for the Nets as a whole. If you want any kind of cohesiveness,
or for the NBA, man,
totally.
This is like if you're Adam Silver, you're like, what the hell is happening in my league right now?
And he
said, player who was just drafted 2 years ago has now been waived. We'll get into that, I'm sure. Yep. But like now Kyrie, and then we've got, oh my God, it's just endless.
His phone, I bet you, has gone nonstop. Apparently, he said he's meeting Kyrie next week in person. So I'm really curious to see next week. There might be some further penalties in regards to Kyrie Irving. But, it's crazy, man. Like, it's just, unnecessary. It takes away from the game. We want to be talking about hoops, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't think that's what cost Steve Nash his job, but it led to maybe a shaky start for the Nets.
And I agree with you. I think Steve Nash is going to get a new opportunity. And Steve Nash is the type of coach, like this is another, I think important example that, you could be an X's and O's coach, but chemistry and relationship, like how you interact with your team, like some teams, when that's a good chemistry, it just gels and everybody is successful. And I think Steve Nash is one of those type of coaches that it's in certain environments, he's going to thrive to have such a high ceiling for the type of leader that he is and how he engages with players, which obviously I don't think was favorable with the net situation with all of these individuals. Like he needs people to buy in the way that he leads, I guess. This is what all coaches do, but I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be some teams here that are on the chopping block for coaches soon that maybe he'll take a bit of.
That's how it always goes, right? Like this, that's not surprising. That can't be surprising. I'm always like, why are the media so shocked? They're so surprised that a coach has been fired. It's like,
And this was his
what?
first head coaching job, right? Like a
And he
couple of
lasted
these
2 years.
guys.
He should
Yeah.
have. He likely. I mean, if you remember at the end of the season last year on our podcast, we talked about how much, it was very likely Steve Nash didn't make it past the summer, and he came back and he made it like less than 10 games. So,
Look at Jason Kidd on the Mavs. A couple of his coaching
oh
situations, and like
gosh, some of them were terrible.
he's thriving in Dallas, right? Like that'll happen for Nash at some point. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see him at some point down the line. He'll become an assistant on the Lakers, help out LeBron.
Oh my gosh,
See,
no
see if he,
gosh.
he can get.
The last time Steve Nash was on the Lakers, that was a mistake.
Speaking of LeBron and the Lakers, I did catch what's his name? Is it Chris Ryan or what's that kid's name on the Lakers that hit that game to take into overtime last night? I don't know if you've seen that shit.
Oh gosh, Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
The
Matt Ryan.
yeah, the new, not the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, now Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. I don't think he's even playing for the Colts now.
Oh.
Too, I've heard a little. Yeah.
So yeah, so fun for the Lakers to constantly have these like bottom feeders make magic happen. They've got Russ coming off the bench. Who was the guy last year? High flying. First off, it was Alex Caruso, just showed up out of nowhere. And then last year they had some other
THC on Horn Tucker.
No, skinny white guy.
Oh, you're thinking Austin Reeves. He's still on that team.
Yeah, and now there's another skinny white dude. Just making magic happen for the Lakers.
Wait, you got to think that skinny white guys. Come on, man.
Well, it's just so surprising. It's like they've got LeBron and AD, and not so much that it's a skinny white dude. Just that it's like these are G League guys. These are not guys who are.
I'm still having, I just want to say now, a high degree of anxiety of Anthony Davis and his health.
What, does he keep falling over?
Like he's falling over, and then he was in and out of the lineup a little bit here too, because he had lower back issues. So, anyways, that's something we're just keeping an eye on. I'm literally knocking on all the wood, praying to God, like, please have this man play a full season to be successful. Because I love when Anthony Davis is right. He's one of the most exciting players to watch, man. And I gotta say, I am happy seeing the Lakers as of late. Even though it sucks, they beat my New Orleans Pelicans to go all the way.
They had no business winning that game,
dude. Oh man, the Pels are so good, But I'm happy to see, I think Westbrook, there seems to be a really genuine investment in being on the bench and really everyone trying to give their best shot.
And where else are they going to put him?
But it's admirable to see everybody just saying F all the media. I'm just putting my foot forward and I'm literally just I'm trying my best. All right. We're all trying our best to win games and be good. And I want nothing but, that's all you want to see, even though there's still probably going to be a play-in team with how crazy some of these teams are right now.
Well, it's still early. It's still early, but the Bucks are 7-0.
The Bucks are 7-0, man. Do you so? What are your thoughts now in terms of Giannis here getting another championship?
Still early. Temper expectations there. But I mean, he's only getting better. He is only getting better. I don't see why he couldn't, but it's too early for me to know.
Just to clarify, so they've beaten the Pistons twice, the Hawks, the Knicks, the Nets, the Rockets, the Nets twice, the 76ers, the Bulls. They haven't been against the
Sixers was supposed to be a test, and they slaughtered them, and then the Bulls was sort of a closer game. The other games, Houston.
I don't know, man. I don't think the Sixers have that's a team where I could see a coach being fired here.
Doc?
Oh yeah.
That'd be a midseason. That'd be a midseason move. I don't think they're gonna slide like Brooklyn has been. Brooklyn is 2-6.
Yeah. Yeah.
2-6. Now, again, it's early, but look at the rest of the bottom. Detroit's 2-7 and Orlando's 1-7. They're expected to be there. Even though you think Paolo's going to win Rookie of the Year, there's no way in hell.
Oh, he is
Houston
gonna win.
1-8, dude.
He
These are teams we expect to be there.
he will. And I'm just gonna pull this up really quick because
No way, dude. Benedict Mathurin. How many points did he put up this
Paul.
last week?
Okay, good point. But Paulo right now averaging 21.8 points per game, 7.6 rebounds per game. He's shooting 44% field goal, 75% free throws. Like the dude's putting up points, and there's a confidence about
What's
Paulo
his
that
points per game?
you can't undermine. It's like 21.6 or something like that.
Right, right,
Just
right.
had it. Let's see. It's 20,
That guy
21.8.
nowhere else.
21.
21.8. Matherin's is 20.4.
That okay. So let's talk about Benedict Mathurin. So I watched a video recently. Actually, it was really cool. The Pacers organization. I don't know if it was his birthday or something, but they invited Benedict Mathurin's mom. So so they're from Montreal, but I believe like his family. I don't know if his parents or grandparents are from Haiti, and
Okay.
they invited his family. So his mom came, and I don't know if it was his sister or aunts or whoever, and they made like this massive Haitian lunch, like all like different kind of Haitian food. It looked amazing, and
Yeah.
all surprised him. And Rick Carlisle's got like his arm over Matherin, and he's
Oh,
walking into the kitchen, and like just blew him away. But you could see like such a level of investment into Matherin, and and him, being such an important, I think, figurehead for the team. And I
that's
love
awesome.
this
No,
guy,
that's awesome.
man.
And you want to see that. You want to see the organization take young special talent under their wing because you know better than I in the NBA. These guys move around like it's they
It's
got extra air miles.
it's a stars league, man. Yeah, I mean, they get to really decide and dictate
So now
how.
tell me, was that the night that he put up 32 points against the Nets?
That's a good question. That I wouldn't know off the top of my head. I just for own fun narrative sake, I wanna hope so. But he's had some really big games. He doesn't shy away from the moment, which was something that I remember seeing, watching him a bit year that last year at Arizona. Like you know when when you're behind, he has that kind of like mentality. You've seen John Morant as well too. It's like a level of aggression that no matter what, I'm just going to continuously claw into the game. Also, kind of reminds me a little bit of this season's Cleveland Cavaliers, which I'd love to get into a sec. But I don't know, man. I'm a Matherin fan. I think Banchero is going to put up good, consistent numbers, I think, in all of his different fields for points, assists, and rebounds, especially in the points and rebounds because he's so big.
Yeah.
But if Matherin has these like big flashy nights where he's dropping 30 some points, he's got a strong case to win Rookie of the Year. Like I
Would
would
he be
not.
the first rookie of the year that Benedict Mathurin, rookie of the year, to wear number 00?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe, maybe. Oh man. Okay, this is for next week. We will do some research and we will find out. I don't know like many other 00 players I'm even thinking off the top of my head.
Well, Tyrese Halliburton's 0, and that was his number back in college.
Initial number.
So he's like, oh, I guess I'll go with 00 because they do that. That's so silly. It's so silly. Anyway,
You have someone running on the court wearing 97.
yeah.
Okay, so have you? It, I'm telling you, man. I caught a bit of the Cleveland Boston show last night,
Oh yeah.
and I gotta say, like, how Cleveland plays together as a team looks so neck and neck with Boston. Like, I I don't. I mean, consistency, I guess, is the thing to look out for. But if they have that consistency, I would put Boston, Milwaukee, and Cleveland, I think, in a category separate from the rest of the East. Like,
Okay.
like they how like the ball moves and everybody attacks, and there's just an intuitive understanding that it feels like the full court is like constantly a threat, if that makes any sense.
Mm, yeah.
Like, and everybody, it seems like I don't know. Mitchell has been he's fit really well. Like when he doesn't have the ball, like sometimes in Utah, you just see him standing around, and I see him moving without the ball a lot more. Um, which means he's playing off Darius Garland really well.
Yep.
And I don't know, man. Like, and how well Mobley has been playing so far this season too. They really scare
Yeah,
me.
we're not surprised. We are not surprised. We knew this Cleveland team was going to be good, and
I,
they were going to take another step from last year.
I'm telling you, like I think, like okay, if we were to go through the teams in the East right now, like I would say they're not better than Milwaukee. I would say they're better than Toronto, but I really like Toronto. I really really like Toronto.
Yeah. I think Toronto would actually have a good chance defensively against that team.
And you know what? I think like it's funny. I would put probably the Bucks, Cleveland, Boston, and I'd put Toronto like just slightly underneath them. But I still think of all four of those teams collectively, as in the
Yep.
top in the East, is all four of those teams know how to play as a team. Like there's a lot of depth, and there's just a good amount of time that has gone by for all of those teams collectively. Like they really gel. There's good chemistry.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But the
Well,
Hawks, I
think
don't
about
think.
yeah.
What are you gonna say?
Oh, just about Cleveland. Like, think about how many bigs they have, and then Mitchell and Garland just get to fucking run around and do their thing. It's so much better than the situation that Mitchell was in Utah.
And like Karis LeVert has had some really big nights too.
Yep.
I think he's like, I don't know if he's starting. And you know what? We got to give our flowers to Kevin Love. Like,
Do
talk
we?
about it. Yeah, because talk about a guy who, okay, think about the lowest moment in Kevin Love's tenure on Cleveland when he like just deliberately turned the ball over.
I know.
So that was like his like most like just disengaged, like I'm not even here. I don't want to play basketball moment right now. To I watch him when you know on this Cleveland team when he's like not on the court, he's like very like you can see him standing around very engaged on the bench. He's talking with teammates, like he's just very active and he
Yeah.
seemed very energized and his investment, I'm sure, in those young guys is what probably gives him some of that extra confidence to like, when those games are close against like Boston Celtics last night, like it was back and forth, like it felt like a playoff game. But, as soon as overtime went, it was just like they never let their foot off the pedal, like right away converting points.
Yep.
Um, I don't know. I feel like this Cleveland team is a little bit further ahead than what I even anticipated them going into this season, which scares me for what the future looks like for
I'm excited about it because this team lost LeBron twice, and
yeah.
then once they got him back second time, he won it, and then he left again. So now we get to see what this team has for the future, and man, oh man, are they ready to go?
And if the Lakers want to look at this as any case in point and example, that Cleveland team that last go around, they wouldn't give up that pick that ended up turning out to be Evan Mobley
Yep.
for LeBron
Yep.
when he was on there. So that 2027, 29 first round picks. Anyways, it's crazy, man. I didn't think Cleveland would have this aggressive a turnaround after LeBron left. I thought this team would be like the Orlando Magic
Oh,
right now, still.
sunken. Yep. No, that's true.
But what? Quickly looking at the East, like the Hawks are the Hawks. They're 5-3 right now. Uh, I think Miami's done. I'm like counted out on Miami. I don't feel like they have any confidence to get past like say even the second round of the playoffs ever. Like for as long
No,
as
I think
Jimmy
it's
Butler is on that team, they will not get past the second round. I don't believe in Bam Adebayo going like this next level of a player. I just haven't seen it. I know we're still early, but I'm just out. I'm
super
just out.
early.
I'm
Super
so
early. I'm
I'm
not.
so out,
I'm not out on the Heat yet.
man. And yeah, and then in the West,
Hey, Portland's 5-2.
they're still yeah. I think Dame's still out here a little bit.
Utah's 6-3, and they have no superstar. They have Kelly Olynyk,
The
Jordan Clarkson.
the Clippers are 4-4, and they are doing what they did with Kawhi in 2019 on Toronto again on the Clippers this season. After he hasn't played for how many years? He's only played like a collective like 60 some games, I think, in 5 years or something like that. I remember looking at last.
Eh,
Like
yeah.
I
Yeah, can I
is
change my
is
defensive
is
player of the year?
Kawhi is Kawhi like are we ever going to see that Kawhi that
I
we
think we'll see that Kawhi. We just won't see him all 82 games. That's just the way Kawhi is going to play for the rest of his career, I think.
you think the rest of his career?
Yeah. Well, dude, how many years has it been?
It's
Like
I
four,
just,
5?
what I don't understand what keeps you out for that long, and then you play a game, and then there's a sensitivity that brings such caution that they just decide like to
He's so
prematurely.
valuable. He's so valuable that if he gets injured, the detriment to the team is far greater than
This
like
all this all stemmed from Azaza Pachulia stepping into his landing zone that created a new rule in the NBA. It has all stemmed from that moment. Because
yeah,
prior to that moment, we never seen Kawhi have this much physical ailment as he's had post that.
yeah. And now we've seen a Golden State dynasty thanks to Zaza Pachulia. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so he literally like took the head off the San Antonio Spurs, what was left of their tenure, and then they've like hung that pike for this last little while. Yeah, man, I don't know like if the Clippers.
That's still early. It's
It's
still early.
it's still so
I
early.
haven't actually watched their games, but has John Wall been doing anything special?
He's been okay.
Yeah.
If I was to pull up his, let's see.
12.5 points per game, 30% usage. Uh, it's not great.
It's not great. 20 minutes a game, three
See,
points just
highest points
abysmal.
has been 20, second game of the season. Yeah, maybe that'll. I mean, it's depth, right? Think of John Wall the way that we think of Russell Westbrook.
Well,
Then John Wall's putting up more points than Westbrook.
I think one of the things that's important to keep in mind with this team as well too is like Ty Lue, I think is probably got to be one of my top 5 favorite coaches in the NBA.
Yeah,
He's somebody that I have full confidence in with whatever team that he's given. He makes it be the most optimal version of what it can be. And it's been a while since we've had all these pieces, and you're still having a lot of movement with Kawhi coming on and off. We're probably going to see that intermittently too, maybe with Paul George just proactively and John Wall. So you've got 3 players, you have a lot of depth. This team was really successful when Paul George and John and Kawhi Leonard weren't playing.
yeah.
So that's some level of confidence that there's something at the core of that maybe you can work with and mold to be successful some point this season.
I
And
think so.
and
I
there's
think
a
it's possible.
and there's a window like I think Phoenix is a little bit better than maybe I would want to initially give them credit for. Memphis is incredibly good. The Pelicans are really good. Luke is having one hell of a season so far this year. I think he's for sure the MVP candidate. But again, I don't think Dallas is going to be as good as they were last season. I think there's still a window where the Clippers and the Lakers are, they're just going to do what the Lakers do. Like the Clips have an opportunity here that they can be like middle of the pack. I don't have full confidence in Denver yet, even though I think Denver will figure it out. And Golden State is Golden State. So like, yeah, I could see them being like this, maybe 5-6 seed.
Yeah, and that's all they need to be. They just need to make it
Yeah,
there because
yeah.
then once the playoff starts, all bets are off.
And then you hope that like you get some vintage Kawhi Leonard, you know,
Yeah,
that takes over some games. And I mean, it'd be exciting. I could see them being one of those teams this season that like you think a favorable team like Golden State, they
yeah.
face them in like the second round or something like that, and they knock them out.
Yep.
They just,
And that
they
kind of
knock.
boost, that kind of energy,
Oh
that'll
yeah,
take you right to the finals and beyond.
yeah. And you're putting that on Ty Lue as that individual that's going to make that happen for you, which he will. Um,
Only if he suits up.
yeah, if he suits up and plays. But yeah, man, I don't know what else to say. There's a lot happening. I'm hoping next week we can just talk more basketball,
Let's talk more basketball.
and less about. I would love to have a pod where maybe we don't even talk about Kyrie.
Less about COVID and less about Kyrie.
Yeah, less about COVID, man. You're gonna be $1 million next week.
Oh yeah, because them Raptors are going to go on another tear.
That's right.
See how
Very,
many
very.
points they put up against the Spurs?
Do you think OG Anunoby is gonna be Defensive Player of the Year this year?
Ooh, if Kawhi Leonard is not healthy, yes. His protege. I think OG is going to be one hell. You know what I love right now? OG has mad confidence in himself. That is the only way OG is ever going to be an impressive player, and he is stepping into it right now. So I'd love to see OG end up Defensive Player of the Year. Imagine that, dude. I mean, we'd be making it to the third, maybe finals if OG was Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, for sure.
The ship is there.
I would not be surprised. I don't know about the finals because I think this. I don't know. Milwaukee just looks.
You got Defensive Player of the Year. It doesn't matter what Milwaukee does.
Defensive Player of the Year against Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm gonna think
and
I'm gonna take Giannis every time.
Absolutely. You got to take Giannis offensively every time. But think about a team in the East that could actually match up those kinds of switches, those kinds of defensive positions. It's Toronto.
We invented the wall and utilized the box and one.
Come on.
In that final against Giannis and the Golden State.
He immortalized Kawhi Leonard. He immortalized us, but
we all have our own coactuses in our.
We all have our coactuses. That's right.
Okay, man. Well, this was a pleasure. It's just awesome chatting with you. I miss you, buddy. I hope you feel better. And,
absolutely, I will. Absolutely.
And yeah, I look forward to doing this next week.
Catch y'all next week.
So this is the Backyard Basketball Podcast brought to you by the Ordinary Podcasting Network. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors, and we'll catch y'all next week. What's the basketball? Let's go!
Bye.
Bye.